not you or me doing this particular thing here, the pomp and circumstance of everything that you just read, that's a lot of pomp and circumstance. It's a lot of rule making. It is a lot of maze building.
Mind fucking.
That as well. It's that same thing, and it's wild that there's this amount of energy put into a system and giving credit to a being that you have never experienced. I think that's it makes my brain rattle around in my skull. And one of the things that, not one of the things, but I was talking or having thoughts about something that you just said, and I had written them down. When it comes to, you said that religion and government are the same thing, in that they both take control. They both of them are actually different types of governing. One is spiritual governing, and one is you're governing here in the three-dimensional plane. However you want to describe that.
They both mind fuck.
True, and it's a lot of.
I'm sorry.
It's a lot of maze building to keep you as a rat moving through all of these different designs, thinking that you're going to get to a reward somewhere. That's really all it is. And these are, I call them institutions: the institution of government, the institution of religion. There's institutions. From the time you're born, you are put into an institution of sorts. Your first institution, when you arrive into the medical institution, the hospital. Most of us, not everyone, obviously. We arrive into a medical institution. That's a whole rabbit hole to go down with the medical institution. But the other institution that you're born into immediately, as I've said many times, is your family. That's the other institution that you're born into immediately, because you get a last name. They give you a middle name, sometimes a first name. You get all these names that some of them have attachment to other places. Your last name has an attachment to everybody in your family and all the history therein. So all these institutions that you come here as a blank slate, and automatically these institutions are attached to you immediately without your permission and never with any conversation about what you want to do with it. And people get offended, particularly in your family, if you deny these institutions. Try and change your last name in your family. Tell your family you just changed your last name because you feel like it. Tell your family you change your religions because you feel like it. They lose their minds because they've invested in these institutions, and they want you invested in these institutions. What's terrible is I don't understand why we think we need to have everybody around us doing the same thing we're doing. I've never understood that monkey see, monkey do. I've never understood that. Why does everybody around you have to do it? That's what white people are doing now in these all white neighborhoods, because they want to raise their children in environments where everybody thinks the same. Where everybody looks the same, everybody acts the same, everybody has the same beliefs and aspirations for their entire culture. That's terrifying. That is a maiming mindset. It automatically cuts you off from growth, is what it does immediately. It cuts you off from growth. When you are not experiencing other cultures in any shape, form, or fashion because you think that yours is superior, because that's what the bottom line is, and you want to protect it from these outside entities, what you do is you stop the growth of your own culture, because what you're going to do is, first thing you're going to do is freeze everything. What I mean by that is everything in your culture, you're going to try and hold it in time right here where it is and say that it's great, which doesn't allow it to grow. It doesn't, because if it's great already, it can't change. Right? You with me? Are you with me? If it's great already, it can't change. So you have stopped change in your community by calling it great. What else can you do? So these people get around each other and they want everybody, their kids, to grow up with the same ideas that they're practicing. It's terrifying. These people are going to grow up not knowing anything else about the world, and it's going to be culture shock everywhere they go. It's like cutting an animal. It's like cutting an animal's Achilles tendon. You're going to make it cripple. It might get along and limp through the forest and maybe, eat sometimes, but it's not going to be the fierce animal that it could be because it's going to be maimed. You've cut it off from something very vital that it needs. It needs the vitality of that limb. We need the vitality of each other, of other cultures, of other information. And we don't, when you are in a community where you're forcing everybody to think the same, that is not welcome. That is not a society that is going to grow. That is not a prosperous society. Look at the Mormons. That's the same mindset. We're going to cut ourselves off from the world, except in commerce, because money. And we're going to keep everybody here thinking the same thing, even though this is what is so weird to me. Behind closed doors, nobody's doing any of the things that everybody is supposed to be doing. Everybody is defying everything. The men are not only sleeping with other women outside of their family, they're sleeping with animals. Not only are the men having, like I just said, they're having sex with women outside of their families, outside of their wives, because I believe they can have more than one wife. They're sleeping with, and I hate to say this, it's child abuse going on. There is zoophilia happening. Like, there's a plethora of things that are happening that are gross and unholy. But to the public out front, they are preaching this, really austere life. She is dying over here. Hold on. Yeah, I don't even know where to begin after that. But we have to begin to understand that we are all enculturated in a variety of institutions that we don't even begin to understand the depths of. But there are people who have created these institutions, and they know the depths of which we can go in these institutions because they've created them. We don't really get that. It's particularly the religious and the government institutions. I often wonder, why do we need so many words to govern so little? If you were to take the law books and all the laws that have been created in this land since this land became a unified corporation, the amount of words that have been written to tell people what to do and how they can do it and what they can't do and everything, you don't need that many words to govern this many people unless you're doing something nefarious. You could take those pages and line them up from end to end, coast to coast in this country right now, and it will probably go back and forth several times. Several times. You don't need that many words to govern people. That's only when you're doing something nefarious, when you are trying to take the masses and mold them to your desires, to what it is that you want. As I was saying in another video, we think that slavery ended on plantations, and we think that the only slavery that there is now is in prisons, and we don't understand that the plantations have been taken from horizontal to vertical. They are now every office building that you see in Manhattan. Those are plantations. Those are the new plantations. You keep thinking that we've avoided it. We keep thinking that somehow we got out of it. We keep thinking that it doesn't exist for us, but they have just taken it from down here on the land and moved it up so that you are in a straight line going up. That's all they did. It's a different type of plantation because you don't understand that you are a debt slave. That's why you get up and go to the plantation every single day, to make sure that you have enough money to participate in this slavery. It should not take all of this. I always find it very affirming when I come across information that I've recently been pondering on social media, and I already know that's another conversation. But anytime I'm having this conversation or some type of conversation, immediately afterwards, I see videos to that effect, and I'm recording these videos oftentimes in airplane mode. Well, it is what it is. So this video came up. There's this Asian doctor. He's a professor, and he's teaching. I don't even know what class this is. It came across my timeline, and he was so interesting. And I will attach the link to the video when I post this up. But he was talking about the education system. He asked the students in the class, he said, what is the purpose of the education system in the United States? And everybody's raising their hand and giving all these answers to, make people literate and da-da-da-da, this, that, and the third. And this one young girl said to brainwash you. Full stop. And he said, yeah, that is the exact, because there's no reason that we should run our society the way that we do. There's no reason for us to get up. You shouldn't get up and go to work every single day in buildings and offices and stuff. We've created society to be like this in order to make people busy so that they don't find their own purpose, so that they don't discover who the fuck it is they are. So they keep you busy doing the things that they want. This man also went on to say that there was a time, and I had just thought, I actually have videotape and I can insert it here. This man was talking about the fact that, and I just said this, he said, there was a time in our society when you grew up and you had to find a type of whatever work it was you were going to do in the world. You either did what your father and family did, if they were doing a certain type of work, if they were merchants or farmers or whatever, either you did that, or you went out and you found somebody who was doing what it is you wanted to do. You asked them if you could assist them, and what they would do is teach you the trade. You became their apprentice, yes. You became their, and that is how you learned a trade. That is how, and work wasn't every day. Work was work was when there was work. Everybody wasn't always working in constant motion to do something every single day, unless there was a farm. But in the farm, there's days when you have less work. Maybe you just going to feed the animals and milk the cows, as opposed to plowing fields and picking and all of harvesting and all the rest of that. The work isn't always the same, is what I'm saying. But they have gotten us into this drone of getting up every day, dressing the same way, going to the same place, doing the same thing, talking to the same people, and making the same little bit of money, while they make large amounts of money off of our labor. And our sweat equity is what we are really putting into that machine, and we do not understand that. Because we don't get it back in any fraction of what we give out. Yes, they give you the healthcare shit. They give you that, and they give you some pension fund that you're barely going to be able to live on by the time you're old. And they give you enough to pay the bills to keep you in debt, to keep you more in debt. Because what they also do at the same time, and it's the same group of people who employ you, who also put out the things that they think that you are going to need. They are also your landlords. They are also your utility company owners. They are also your grocery store owners. They are also your retail store merchants. They are all of these things as well. So they're taking your money, and yes, they give you some back if you're employed under one of these agencies. But what they're doing, it creates a cycle. You're always going to have to give money, so you're always going to have to make money. Nothing is owned, nothing is yours, nothing is solidly in perpetuity the way it used to be or the way that it should be. You don't own your house ever. 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 Here, ever. There is no ownership. You don't get anything for free. There's advertisement and everything behind it. And if anything that they are giving you, you are the thing that they're selling. You're the product. You're the target right there. That's why they're giving it to you for free, because they want you tuned in so that they can sell you something else. But we don't pay attention to that. We are slaves in this system. You are slave to your public utility company. You are a slave to the water company. You are, in some places, the sanitation company. You are a slave to whatever type of home ownership or house dwelling it is you live in. You're always either going to pay rent, you're always going to pay mortgage, or if you finish paying your mortgage, then they're going to raise your taxes. You're going to have to pay an HOA fee. You're always going to have repairs. It's always going to be money coming out of your pocket. So they're always going to make you think that if you don't get up and go to the vertical plantations now, that you are going to somehow fail at this and you will be destitute and homeless. And that is the fear that they instill in you for a very long time. It's put into you little by little from kindergarten. It's put into you little by little from the time you first step into a public institution and your name is put on a roll somewhere. They begin to indoctrinate you with fear. Full stop. They begin to indoctrinate you with fear of lack. They put you in unnatural situations. School is an unnatural situation. It is not a situation that humans would ever find themselves naturally in. We would never just be sitting all in the class trying to learn things that don't pertain to our daily lives. Why is that even a fucking thing? We sit up and we send kids to school for years and years and years to learn things that they will never apply in their daily lives. That is an unnatural situation. We store them in buildings for 8 to 10 hours a day under unnatural light. That is an unnatural situation. And on the opposite end of that, you are somewhere in a vertical plantation, probably working under unnatural light too, because you were indoctrinated in the same system that you are now sending your children into. How do you feel right now? How does that feel? It's unnatural the way that we do it. When you wanted to learn something, what you did was you found the person who was doing whatever the fuck it was you wanted to do, and you went and you learned from that person. You didn't sit in and take a bunch of information in that you don't have any practical application for year after year after year. See, and what's really, really diabolical, in another video I talked about how in church or in the masjid or in the synagogue or whatever it is, one book that is primarily dealt with. In school, it's a little bit more nefarious. They take you through book after book after book after book after book of shit that has nothing to do with the life that you are going to live. Nothing. It has nothing to do with the life you've lived, your ancestors lived, anything. As a matter of fact, for certain people, they actually take out the information that has to do with your history and your family and your culture. It's an unnatural situation. I know you've never thought of school that way, but that's why I'm here. I'm here to help. School is a completely unnatural situation. The work environment that you are in is nothing but an opportunistic environment for slavery. It is meant to make you think that you are free, though, because they let you go home at 5 o'clock. That's only because they don't want to fucking house you. They own your house. They're going to get the money that they've earned, that they've paid you on the back end. Because you're going to pay it back to them in rent. You're going to pay it back to them in utilities. You're going to pay it back to them in groceries. Because we used to grow the food. There wasn't a grocery store. There were stores where you went to go get certain items that maybe you needed for the farm or for your house, but it wasn't where you went to go get your primary source of food. You grew that. This is an unnatural situation. We don't know how to live. And they keep us in a cycle of learning shit that keeps us from learning how to live naturally. Everything that connects you to the land, they demonize and vilify. Everything that is good for you, they demonize and they vilify. Anything, it amazes me when I find a new herb or something that might help me and, help my health. And I look it up and it always says not approved by the Food and Drug Administration. And I'm like, why wouldn't they approve something that can help me? Why would they? So what they want is for my body to break down so that they can sell me medication that is going to further make me sick on the back end. And, I have a love-hate relationship because I have conditions where I have to take medication, but I have had to alter those prescriptions and modify my own treatment to increase to increase my health. They're trying to kill us slowly, though. They don't want you dead immediately because they have to profit off of it along the way. They don't want you dead immediately. They're going to get that money too, because when you die, obviously, we went through that on the last video, but along the way, the medical bills, they're going to get the money. The hospital visits, they're going to get the money. All of the trips to the grocery store that feeds you the food that is going to make you sick, they get the money. All of the areas where they put new housing that looks wonderful, but is not nurturing in any type of way. The ground is dead. Because they've done so many different things and sprayed so many different chemicals, but they'll build a beautiful house there and let you raise your family and let your kids go out there and play in that. Because once your kids get sick from that, they'll get the money. We don't understand how much of a circle this is. And the people who you think that there's a way to live outside of it, and there's not. Not really. We haven't thought outside the box because we haven't seen the opening of it to get out. I was listening to somebody talk about a situation with what were they talking about? It was about politics or something. And I continued as they were talking, I was wondering why do we involve ourselves in politics still? because they flash it in front of you every 5 minutes. Everywhere you you open your phone, the first news thing that comes up is politics. You look on the TV, the first thing that comes up is politics. Everywhere it's all politics. They're always showing you politics. But when you think about it, how does politics affect your everyday life? Why should you be so engrossed in the fact that this is happening right now? See, now I'm not talking about the marches and stuff in places like Chicago and stuff like that. Those, to me, aren't political. That has to do with the fact that they have fucked over the group of people. And I'm not talking about black people. I'm talking about the working class. They have fucked over a group of people for so long that they're tired. That's what that has to do with. And also the fact that we are funding a genocide in another country while here we have got shit fucked up. I think that's the part that I'm talking about over there. But getting back to the real point, you can't think outside this box yet. I looked at a video, and I talked about this before, but I'm going to say it again, of the video. It was, I think, the 100 black men or the 1,000 black men where all the black men come dressed professionally. Why is our idea of professional this European idea of dress still? We think that we're thinking outside the box. That's still inside the box, sirs. You have just put on a show of European clothing. There was very little Afrocentric garb represented in the entire group at all. But overall, you are putting on fashions that represent European ideas. And we're thinking outside the box. We're teaching young men to be professional, to go get ready for these vertical plantations. So they put on their best slave wear to get to the plantation, to go back to the plantation, the vertical plantation. And the people who think that they thought outside the box because they don't work in the vertical plantation because they've opened their own business, but they still do the majority of their business with people who don't look like them. Have you really gotten off the plantation? Have you? Have you? You haven't. You just don't work out in the field anymore. You're in the house. That's all that is. It's another form of house nigger. That's all that is another form of house nigger. We are so in the way they've gotten us to forget that we are a community. Isn't that diabolical? They've gotten people of color to forget that we are a community. And we are so disjointed, we believe it. And we act like it. We walk around and our behavior is disjointed. We don't act cohesive. We don't come together cohesively. The reason that they haven't been able to take us seriously in our fight for justice is because we can't get together to get the point to tell them exactly what it is we want first. We haven't got a list of our demands. Who has that? What do black people want right now today? If we could have one thing, what would it be? You ask 10 different people, you're going to get 10 different fucking answers. We don't have cohesiveness. We don't have collective thought. We haven't begun to use the I mess this word up all the time, Ubuntu within us. We forget that we had that. And when we forget that we had that, that means that we have adopted colonial ideas. Because that is what you come from. You come from people doing collective works. You come from group. You come from community. There's this, I don't know if it's a proverb or an anecdote that I came across in my experience. And it was about a person from, I think, America or Britain who had gone to Africa. And there was a group of children and they wanted the children to do a competition, a race or whatever. So there was a prize that whoever, and this was a village where people needed food. So the prize was food. They were going to give them a prize. So they had all the kids line up and all the children lined up, and whoever made it to the finish line and back, or made it to the finish line first, obviously would be the winner and would be the person to get the food. So they count 1, 2, 3, everybody go. And all the children joined hands and walked to the finish line. And then they shared the prize. We forget that that is where we come from. We have we have given in to the disjointed, subjective, isolated thinking of our colonizers, and that is how they want us. They want us not in community. They want us always thinking about ourselves and not how our actions affect the people around us. They want us always thinking about how I can do better and not how we can do better. And I know it's a challenge because everybody ain't ready. I get that. That's where discernment comes in. You have to know when to hit it and quit it. If it's not working, move on. There's no shame in that. Sometimes we give too much to a situation because we've been taught to suffer long. Long suffering is a long lie. You shouldn't suffer the fuck at all. Once you realize that there's a problem, you have a choice to make. And if you continue to go in the direction that you are going in, you have decided that misery is what you want. You have decided that pain is what you desire. And I have come across so many people who were in the midst of their pain, and me being the person that I am trying to save them. And at this stage of my life, I have decided that that is theirs and I am going to allow them to have it. If that's your karma, I'm not going to interrupt your karma anymore. But ours is to get the fuck together. And we need to learn how to do that. See, we keep thinking that we're at the beginning of a crisis. We're not. We're in the middle of it already. Actually, we're almost at the fucking end of it. And we're just waking up and finding out that we're in a crisis, that we're in a war. That there are people who are already armed and already taking up arms against us in a variety of ways. Not just guns. They're writing more paper. More legislation. You see that fucking fucktard in the fucking fuckhouse is doing as much as writing as he can. Every day there's a new thing that this fucking idiot has decided. You woke up this is the middle of the fucking war. This isn't the beginning. It started back when he was elected the first fucking time. Actually, it started way before that, but you know what I mean. We have a lot of catching the fuck up to do. Get here. Get here. See, here's the problem, and we're all going to experience this as we come to understand the things that we need to understand in order to operate in the world that is being created right now. Most of the people that you come across aren't going to have the same information as you, and there's no sense in you arguing with those motherfuckers about what information it is they have. Everybody will tell you in the beginning of the conversation the extent of the information that they have, because everybody likes to say the thing that they know the most, that they think they know the most about when you're talking in any conversation about a given topic. So people are going to tell you the limit of their conversation, and there's no use in you trying to convince them. That has to be done when they are ready. So let that go. We are educated in this country just enough to think that we know something. I'm going to say it again. We are educated in this country just enough to think that the information that we read and we come across and we find and we choose to believe is right. We're educated just enough to do that. We're not educated in a way that makes us curious about that topic all the time, every single time, and go do our own research so that we can find out what information was left out, what information was transmogrified, what information did the reporter fuck up, what information did they choose to leave out because of X, Y, and Z. Like, we don't do that. Oftentimes, most people, when they hear information, oh, that's what it is? Well, that's what the fuck it is. Now I have new information. And they go call Judy. Hey, Judy, did you know X, Y, and Z? And now they have told Judy. And Judy now thinks that this person is a reliable source of information. So now Judy thinks that she has some reliable information. So when somebody talks to Judy, Judy spouts that same bullshit that she got from you, that you haven't done research on, that you haven't tried to find out if it's accurate or not. That is why when you see me on social media antagonize people who are in religions, who are religious or in religions, when you see me antagonize them, it is not to antagonize them or make them angry. What I'm hoping to do is make them probe further and go research something and dig deeper. That is my aim. It is not to be antagonistic. I can save that energy. That doesn't really go anywhere. What I would prefer to see is somebody go, you know what? I'm going to find out what the fuck it is he's talking about. I'm going to see if I can find out if he's wrong. Prove me wrong. Make sure that you can dig deep enough to get enough information to bring back and say, no, you got that wrong. That is, if anybody was curious about why, because I've had people call me and ask me, what is going on with you? Like, your posts on social media have gone from like 0 to whatever in their mind is a lot. And I had to tell one friend, listen, I've just taken the mask off. I'm really tired of dumbing shit down. I'm really tired of not saying exactly what the fuck it is to save the feelings of somebody else when everybody else is on social media saying what the fuck it is they feel. They're all God bless you and Jesus this and Alhamdulillah that and all the rest of the other things that people say that make them feel good. And I get it. I get it. But what I would hope is at some point you go, you know what, I'm going to get some more information that is outside of the realm of the information that is given to me. I'm going to go seek information as opposed to sitting down and letting somebody tell me what they think I need to hear. Because many of you who are religious and, you know, call yourself participating in your religion, what you do every single week is you go to a building where they tell you what they think you need to hear. And you accept it. You report for programming religiously. You do. They report for programming religiously. Isn't that an interesting thing? You report for religious programming religiously. And you sit there and you let a man or woman or whomever tell you what it is they think they need you to hear. And you swallow it. Are you filled up? And somebody slurp you up. What is that thing that man said? I forget. It's inappropriate. I'm not going to do it. So, with that being said, what? Listen. I don't even know where half this shit. A lot of the times I'm sitting here saying shit that I had never thought before in my life. I don't know where the fuck this shit come from, but it'd be funny to me when I hear it later. Please know that the institutions that are set up for you that incorporate and enroll you without your permission also have no good thing in store for you. They are there to use you. They are there to usurp you. They are there to take from you. They are there to rape you in a very general sense of the word. I don't mean if that triggers anybody, I apologize. I'm not trying to trigger you with the word. But what I'm saying is they are taking from you without your permission in a variety of ways. And we haven't gotten angry enough as a society to make them stop. But we should be almost there. Y'all almost there? I feel like we almost there. You almost there? Because I feel like everybody ready to go outside because every other country is outside. Have you seen Italy? Have you seen Nepal? Had you seen, what was it, Japan? Yeah. And it's not just for the same things as for the genocide. A lot of it is for the genocide that is going on in Gaza. People are tired of hearing these motherfuckers justify their greed by killing people. We're tired. We're tired.
Ordinary people risk their lives.
You kill babies, you kill children, you kill women, you kill people who are civilians who have nothing to do with this. You kill them indiscriminately. You are the worst. You are the dregs of human DNA. You are the last dregs at the end of our DNA chain. You are the garbage at the end of our DNA chain. And unfortunately, we have been remiss enough to allow you to ascend to positions where you affect people in this manner. And I personally apologize for that. But that shit is over as far as I'm concerned. We're coming for you. The other day, I got a friend request on TikTok, I think it was, from Elon Musk, allegedly. Hi, Elon. So, with that being said, I think that I'm all talked out for right about now. We'll come back with more information because I'm sure my friend will have another question about this questionable book and the questionable practices and the questionable people. And what this is the last thing I'm gonna say in the chat. I need y'all to really take a look at the people who are drawn to those positions. There's a certain type of man that's drawn to be a priest. There's a certain type of man that's drawn to be a policeman. There's a certain type of man that's drawn to be a Cub Scout leader. There's a certain type of man that's drawn, and I'm not talking, these aren't good men either. Let me be clear, say that from the front. Because all the positions I'm naming are positions of authority where people trust you. They're not positions of real authority. They're positions of trust. They're not governing positions. They're positions of trust. But there is a certain type of man that is attracted to those types of positions because they know that there are people who will be vulnerable in those positions up under them. And we need to take a look at that. And we haven't. Not as a whole nation, we haven't. And that is our fault. So we can't cast dispersions on certain types of people knowing that we let this type of thing happen every single fucking day. Every day. Y'all let stupid ass, weak ass white men join police forces all across the country knowing that at some point they're going to target a young black man because they are fearful. You know, every day there's a man who is volunteering to be a Boy Scout troop leader who has no wife, who has no kids, or maybe he does have a wife and kids. It's changed. They've gotten even weirder now. But you also know that he's a weird acting motherfucker. And y'all let him around the kids anyway because that leaves your Saturday open. There's a certain type of man. There's a certain type of man that is drawn to these positions, and we need to pay attention to that. These are institutions where there's a lot that happens in the background because there are vulnerable populations passing through here, and too much gets lost in the transfer because we allow these men to be in these positions. We got to pay attention. As I told my friend, if you knew what was on the minds of men, you would never come near us again. You see it actually every day, and that is what terrifies me the most. We see every day what men are capable of, and we still have women who wake up going, I need a man. Because you were taught to want a man. You were taught that your life means nothing if you don't have a man. You were taught that if you have a man, that you're better than the woman who doesn't have a man. Yeah. And men don't have that much worth. Think of who brings life to the planet. But there's every woman and most women in this society wake up thinking, heterosexual women anyway, I need a man. If they don't already have one, that is their desire. Women spend money to go get a man. They spend money on their hair, their nails. Some of them spend money on going to college, thinking that that is where they will find their husband. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they don't say it out loud, but that's what they really think in their heart. Yeah, I'll find some vocation, but maybe I'll meet Mr. Right, get pregnant my junior year, and he'll continue to work, and I can stay home. Yeah, that fairy tale still runs through a lot of women's minds. Mm-hmm. It's in your heart, because it's put into you. From the time they put that first baby doll in your hand, they started growing that in you. They did, and it worked. Because you will do everything, anything. You talk about your girlfriends that don't have a man and why they don't have a man. Y'all idolize the girlfriend who's getting married and all of the things that she's gonna go and all of the parties and the planning and everything like that. Y'all idolize that shit. You dream about it. You theorize about it from the time that you know what it is. You think that that is the ultimate prize. And that is our fault because we have fed it to you over and over and over. It has been fed to you in every movie. It has been fed to you in every commercial. It has been fed to you in every ad. It has been fed to you in church. It has been fed to you in school. It has been fed to you in the streets. It has been fed to you amongst your friends. It has been fed to you at the dinner table with your family. It has been fed to you and fed to you and fed to you. And you ate it. Bon appetit.